Hey guys, today we're going to figure out what happens when you keep a bunch of rocks in a rock tumbler for about 6 months at stage 1. Come along. Now, I will fully admit this is my fault. Sometimes life gets really busy, and because these rock tumblers are out in the garage, it's really easy to forget about them, despite how loud they are. So let's see what they look like.
Nice cans.
All right, so let's open these up and see what sort of slimy gunk is inside of them. Ugh. Okay. That's not as bad as I've thought. It's pretty foamy, but I've had, a weekly one look like that before. All right, some interesting results here. We've got some lighter gray ones. We've got some tanner ones. The first one we opened super foamy. The third one's a little foamy, but not quite like the first one. It's a pretty inconsistent results here. Okay, not fun. Okay, so now we're gonna pour all of the rocks into one sort of sieve thing all at once, and then we'll go through them. And this is where it's gonna get a little bit messy. Not so bad. All right, a couple stuck in there, but not bad. Better than I would have thought. Now let's spray them off. Now this is a mix of rocks that I've bought from places like the Rock Shed and rocks that I've just found on hikes or out searching for rocks. So we have a variety. All right, now I don't know what you'd expect for this long at stage 1 of rock tumbling grit. There are some rocks that are super smooth, but there are also some that, are gonna need a lot more time. I assume the grit wears down after a certain amount of time, and it's not probably doing much other than just having the rocks hit one another. Okay, so I didn't want to make you watch me separate these out, but I thought I'd separate them into a couple different categories. So these are the rocks that are not ready to move on yet. So you can see this is definitely the bigger pile. So what we can assume from this is that having your rocks in a tumbler for 6 months isn't going to get them ready. That grit wears out. And essentially they're not doing anything but banging into each other. They're not getting smoother. They're just sort of banging around. There's a lot of cool ones in here, but they're definitely going to need longer at stage 1. In this next category, I wanted to show a couple of rocks that were damaged. You can see this jasper piece sort of just split in half, unfortunately. It's not smooth at all around the edges, so it could have just happened, but it definitely happened after the grit wore out. There's other ones that have little bits and pieces out of them, little chips that I have to assume. While they could have happened in the process anyway, I was making my odds worse by leaving them in the tumbler for so long. Then we have our rocks that are ready to go to stage 2. You can see this beautiful piece of petrified wood, which I'm really excited about. We have several others, but it's definitely a third of the size of our bigger pile. So this certainly did not make the rocks speed up. It certainly, you know, I could have had these results after just a couple of weeks, so I have to assume probably my guess would be the grit wears down probably within 3 weeks, definitely within a month would be my guess. So it's not saving you any time, it's not saving you any troubles by leaving the grit rolling around for 6 months. So you can probably already guess my conclusion. Do I recommend that you let your rocks tumble around in your tumbler for 6 months? No. I did not mean to let that happen. I sort of forgot, and then every time I would go to pick them up, I just sort of dreaded what I was going to find in the tumblers. It wasn't as bad as I thought. However, I don't recommend that you do it. There were definitely, as you saw, a couple rocks that were damaged, split in half, chipped. Of course, that can happen even in your weekly or bi-weekly tumbling, but it's not the best idea to let them just hit one another with no real purpose. We don't want to make these beautiful rocks uglier. A lot of these rocks I took a lot of time to find on my own, and some of them are absolutely beautiful. All of them are beautiful in their own way. So we want to get them tumbling, we want to get them shiny, help keep me accountable, help keep me on track. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go and put these rocks, a couple of them in stage 2, most of them back in stage 1. I'll give you an update soon. Thanks for testing this out with me. And I look forward to hunting some rocks with you soon.